Hi, I'm Mark Presley. People's American Stories.
People's American Stories.
People's American Stories.
Wow, that's quite a story. And, when you mentioned greed, that just seems to be the evil of everything these days. And, I was curious when you were saying they were trying to eliminate the Kmaq, right? Did I pronounce it right?
No, the Mi'kmaq.
No, Mi'kmaq. I'll get that right by the time we're done here.
Okay.
Okay.
Mi'kmaq.
Yeah.
Okay.
What year did that take place?
The first one, Governor Shirley of Massachusetts declared war upon the Mi'kmaq in 1744, and he offered a bounty in that declaration for the scalps of Mi'kmaq men, women, and children.
Mm-hmm.
And he sent Captain John Gorham and Gorham's Rangers into Nova Scotia to enforce that particular bounty, and you read some of the stories left behind by the missionaries, and it was quite brutal when they got here, and they did slaughter women and children indiscriminately, and so the next one was 1749 under Governor Edward Cornwallis, and I have on my website a petition actually to try to persuade the provincial government here in Nova Scotia to change the name of a high school in particular that's named in honor of this man.
Right. I read about that on your website. I actually signed a petition.
Yes, you did. Well, it was great. And what it's all about is trying to, regain our human standards. The peoples of the Americas were totally dehumanized by propaganda, demonized propaganda of the colonial area, where a great many horrors were pointed at our peoples. In actual fact, they weren't. When you look at the Mi'kmaq, Melanesian, Cree, and Mohawk, and Illinois, and all the rest of the tribes of the Americas, when they were fighting the white man, they were fighting for one purpose, and that was trying to keep their civilizations intact. Fighting the white man for the pleasure of killing people.
Yeah, boy, my heart goes out to you. It's just terrible that that happened. What I was wondering also is, how does this correspond with our history books? Because a lot of this I find that isn't even in our history books. What do you have to say about that?
The history books that you read today are the product of white supremacist minds in many cases, or Eurocentric minds anyway, that try to, how would you say, to keep the notion that this land was populated by savages when Europeans invaded, which it wasn't.
This is Interview with Dr. Daniel N. Paul, author of We Are Not the Savages, telling his story of the Kmaq Indian tribe. Podcasting People's American Stories.
There was many great civilizations in the Americas, and as a matter of fact, when the conquistadors walked down the streets of wide boulevards of one city in I think it was Central America, they were walking down with their mouths wide open, looking around because they'd never seen anything so beautiful in their lives. And wide boulevards and clean. And when you looked at this particular city had over 200,000 inhabitants, and places like Paris and London and Rome had populations of about 50,000 people, and these places were filthy hellholes. So in comparison, there was none. So I read 1491. There's a book by the name 1491, and he states that the conquistadors were like a bunch of country yokels going to the city and seeing the city for the first time. They were awestruck by what they saw. And this particular city had running water, had a sewage system, and so forth and so on. So the notion that on this side of the ocean there was nothing is absolutely incorrect and is a product of somebody's imagination.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for clarifying that. How did they live their lives?
Lived their lives quite peacefully. The Mi'kmaq, for instance, I'll hold on my own people. They had probably one of the highest standards of living in the world at that point in time. And when the Europeans first came here, some of their missionaries and what have you recorded that there was a great many people who had lived to a great age, and some of them well over 100 years old. So, in comparison, life span of the European at that point in time is probably somewhere around 30, 35 years. So it was quite a difference over here. It was, they had a great diet and plenty of fish and meat, and trade went on between various nations here in the Americas before Europe invaded.
And how do they live their lives now? Do they still try to go by the same morals, or has society kind of forced them?
We live in a different world today, and like I stated before, we're still in the middle of a battle to regain some of our resources, and having some measure of success. We are into the fishery now in North Atlantic here, and going to court and trying to negotiate some other resources, such as timber resources and mineral and all the rest. We're in the middle of trying to, get some financial assets that will help us build a sustainable future, and that's where we're at right now.
Well, I wish you the best of luck. Could you please tell me your website for our listeners as well, so hopefully they could sign the petition?
Mm-hmm. Website is www.DANIELNPAUL.com.
Very good. I just wanted to go back when you're saying that they had lived a long time. What kind of medicine did they practice? Is this like the traditional medicine man type medicine that they practiced?
I want to set something straight. Within our communities, we had people who had aptitudes for doctoring people, and we had people who had aptitudes for building canoes, birch bark canoes, and dugouts, and so forth and so on. And probably people who were great at constructing bows for bow and arrows and what have you. And people were the same as any other people in the world. Some have aptitudes for doing certain things, and they did it well, and they shared with everybody. And that was the difference between the Americas and Europe, in particular. North America, most societies in North America were sharing societies. It was what I call a you society. In comparison, in Europe, it was a me society. I came first, but our society, Mi'kmaq society, was totally sharing. Everything was shared among the people. Everybody kept well, and I would imagine there were people that were designated to care for the ill and sick and so forth and so on.
Wow, well, that was quite a story. I'd like to thank you once again, Dr. Daniel and Paul, for being my guest right here on We the Podcast.
That sounds good to me.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
See you later.
And you have a good day.
Okay.
Bye-bye. And if you want to find out more about Mi'kmaq's First Nation history, you could visit Dr. Daniel and Paul's website at www.danielandpaul.com. Once again, I'm Mark Presley, signing off right here on People's American Stories. And if you have a story you would like featured in We the Podcast, simply visit our website at peoplesamericanstories.info. Thank you.